Good day, Thomas Jefferson Hour podcast listeners. Boy, did we have fun this week. We called a bunch of people, and a couple of them just kind of out of the blue, we didn't ask for permission. We just called them. Yeah.
I had talked to you yesterday, and I said we should talk to Lisa Suhay of Chesapeake about her new book, America the Grateful. And I said,
we did.
My friend Kevin Muiderman up in Grand Forks was making
me a ukulele.
The ongoing
saga of the ukulele.
And I've been saying to him for weeks, I want to get you on this program. He turns out to be a world-class instrument maker. He's going, I think he said he's going to spend Thanksgiving in Paris.
Yeah.
You know?
Delivering a guitar.
You and I are like Bowman, Grassy Butte, Rame, Marmouth, Bismarck.
Nothing wrong with those places
Paris,
either. And you suggested that we call Pat Brodowski.
And I'll tell you why, because I actually was curious. Do they celebrate Thanksgiving at Thomas Jefferson's Monticello? The answer is no. But I'll tell you what, they have a harvest festival at the end of September, which has now become a kind of clearinghouse for some of the most interesting thinking on agrarianism in the world.
We heard the story again of you comparing the fruits of your labor to Monticello's
You know what
gardens.
My corn looked like when I was there? It looked like the corn you get in a Chinese restaurant. You know what I mean? Like the corn the size of your little finger.
And then I said, you know what? We've had so much fun. Let's just call Crisler out of the blue.
That was weird.
We haven't talked to him for a long time, and I didn't expect that we would get an answer.
I thought we'd get his answering machine.
Rang twice, and he said hello, and
I thought we'd get a thing. Crisler's on a 27-town tour, but no, there he was. He was at his Steinway, plucking away, making a new Christmas song.
So with all that, and then you ended with a very nice essay about gratitude. So
I feel it, my friend.
Let's go to the show, and we can skip promoting your cultural tours.
But go to the JeffersonHour.com website because those tours are filling up.
And we can skip the support the show because Crisler kind of did that for us.
But come on the cultural tours in Locksaw Lodge and Steinbeck.
So with that, here's this week's show about Thanksgiving and gratitude. And thank you for listening. Good day, citizens, and welcome to the Thomas Jefferson Hour. And may I say at the onset, we wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving this year.
Oh my, David, thank you, and thanks to all of our listeners and everyone around this country that takes Thomas Jefferson seriously. People who love American history, people who are striving to try to figure out what our republic, what the American Republic can be and should be in the second decade of the 21st century. You know, we're living in a time of extraordinary confusion. And I think that when we return to Jefferson and his sensibilities, when we try to see the world through that sort of Enlightenment lens, it always cheers me up, clarifies our history for me, and makes me believe that anything is possible in America. And my goodness, if there's a holiday in our national calendar that reflects what America represents to the world, I think it's really Thanksgiving.
It's kind of hard to look back at Jefferson and realize what was your word you used?
What a sourpuss he was
about holidays.
You know,
right?
He only did New Year's and the 4th of July. He wouldn't allow his birthday to be known, and he didn't think we should have a Thanksgiving holiday because it violated the wall of separation between church and he certainly didn't believe in Christmas, partly because it's arbitrarily set. We almost are certain that Jesus was not born on the 25th of December. It's a Catholic Saints' Day that crept over into the larger calendar of religious and public festivals. So Jefferson would be very hard on Christmas.
We have to give him a little bit of understanding about that. At the same time,
fellow.
At the same time, you have talked about in the past about Thanksgiving being really your favorite holiday,
without question. Now, where does Thanksgiving rank in your pantheon of celebrations?
I'm very high because it's for the same reasons as you. It's not a religious holiday that you have to commercialize and all that.
But I mean, do you agree with my general point that America is sort of symbolized by Thanksgiving because of the incredible abundance? Also, we're wealthy and materialistic, but America is a place of enormous abundance.
Mm-hmm. I like to think that Jefferson might possibly, should he appear today, revise his feelings about.
You want him to come around and say,
I mean, if there's a holiday that it's nonpartisan, it's religious, but not really. There's room for anybody, and it's just a way to, remember how good we got it, because most of us do.
Yeah.
We had a really fun show this week.
This was so much. We made a bunch of cold calls, really.
We really did. And we'll start talking to an author, a woman that you know.
Lisa Suhay from the Chesapeake, from the lower Chesapeake, contacted me, said she was writing a book about the real first Thanksgiving.
Let's join our conversation with her now, shall we?
Let's do.
Hey there.
Lisa, it's Clay. How are you?
I'm good.
We're just adjusting our headphones and so on here. You know David Swenson, the semi-permanent guest host.
Well, actually, we don't, but here I am. Hello.
I feel like I know you, though.
Oh.
I'm absolutely in awe and thrilled.
Oh, my.
I can't help it between the two of you. I'm just taking a deep breath from being starstruck.
Wow, are we recording, I hope?
Yes, we
Yeah,
are.
good. That'll be on there. We have a special guest. There is a book recently published, a children's book called America Grateful, Where Thanksgiving Really Began. And the author, Lisa Suhay, is a friend of mine. She's from our part of the Chesapeake, and she's agreed to come on and say a few words about this book.
I'm so delighted to be invited to speak to you both. I'm a huge fan.
Our pleasure.
Actually, in Virginia, last Sunday was the first Thanksgiving festival at Berkeley Plantation. So we're already deep into Thanksgiving here.
Now, most Americans understand Thanksgiving to be the Thursday in November, and it goes back to Plymouth Rock and the Pilgrims and Squanto and fish helping to grow corn and so on and so forth. That's the American mythology of the origins of Thanksgiving. Tell us what the Virginia story is, Lisa.
The Virginia Thanksgiving actually predates by almost 2 years. It was December 4th, 1619. Was the first English-speaking Thanksgiving in the New World, and it took place in Berkeley, Virginia, whereas the Thanksgiving in Plymouth, Massachusetts took place September 21st through November 11th in 1621. So it was really a 3-day harvest festival, which was a traditional English celebration that was held in Plymouth. But December 4th, 1619 was part of the Berkeley Charter. And it was ordained that yearly and perpetually it was to be kept holy as a day of thanksgiving to Almighty God, was the exact wording in their charter.
Now, David and I, as you know, are North Dakotans, so late November is pretty late for a harvest festival here. It's more like a deep freeze festival.
Like the shovel your snow
in
festival,
North Dakota.
Right.
But you say that Berkeley just celebrated this, in October?
We did. I think that because just modern day, it becomes a little difficult to celebrate the actual date, December 4th. Here it gets a little chilly, so that's not the optimal date. So they backed it up. They're like, I guess if we're going to do it first, they did it really first, way before. And it was absolutely gorgeous here. I mean, we had sunshine.
How many people were there?
There were about 5,000 people at the celebration. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Did you have enough loaves and fishes for all those folks?
Here it's ham and oysters. Thank you very much. Also, it's not turkey.
Yeah, the book is a beautiful children's book illustrated by
Tavera Meyer Lippold, and she's actually from South Africa. So this book has pieces from all over, and you are a phenomenal part of this book as well. You close it out for us.
You asked me if I would contribute something by Jefferson and something about Jefferson. I was thrilled when you contacted me and sent you a piece from his inaugural address and then a little statement by myself that appears at the end of the book, Lisa, and I'm so very grateful for that. Let me ask you this question. I know from our previous conversations, you are not intending to knock Plymouth off the map or to reassign the dates of Thanksgiving. There's no restraining order coming from Massachusetts. There's room for everyone in this, right?
Absolutely. This is the title is America the Grateful, and in big letters, and then Where Thanksgiving Really Began in the smaller text, because if you're going to talk about Thanksgiving and you're going to do a Thanksgiving tale that doesn't have turkey and it doesn't have Native Americans and it doesn't have all of these traditional things, then I wanted to take this to an elevated level nationally that is not where we're squabbling over who was first, which has become a very big American value of late. I wanted to take us back to the real roots of the holiday, which is to be thankful, to be grateful for everything we've got, even when it's not a lot, which is a universal concept that should resonate throughout Thanksgiving, no matter where you celebrate it, at what table, with whom, in what language, when you believe it began, whether you're having turkey or tofu, it doesn't matter. What matters is the attitude of gratitude, the mood, and not the food.
Amen.
Very good.
And it's a beautifully multicultural. The illustrations are just fabulous. How did you come to write this book? I've written a number of books, and I've never written one for children, and I'm not sure I could write in the kind of wonderful rhyming language you chose. Tell us about that process.
Well, this is kind of interesting. This is my 10th children's book. And I was actually asked to write this by a lovely gentleman named Warren Stewart, who's a retired educator from Virginia. And he had been on the board of directors for Berkeley. And upcoming in 2019 is going to be the 400th legislative anniversary for the state of Virginia. They're calling it American Evolution 2019. And he said, "Can you do something for us to reclaim the Thanksgiving holiday for the state of Virginia as part of this 400th anniversary effort? But also, as you said, let's not make this a competition. Let's just bring back a piece of history. Let's add and not subtract, and let's do something that elevates that feeling of gratitude and celebrates."
For the geographically challenged, where is Berkeley Plantation?
It's actually not far from Williamsburg, Virginia, just south of Richmond.
This original 8,000-acre plantation didn't mean quite what we mean by plantation. It meant a planted seat, a new establishment on the James River, in the James River Valley at the time.
It was a plantation in the South, which is one of the reasons why when you mention how multicultural the illustrations in this book are, I was not going to agree to do a book that celebrates something that includes, a plantation location unless we could bring it forward in time to what a beautiful, diverse state Virginia has grown to become, and to celebrate in the back of the book a wide variety of people who have contributed to what the state is today.
And so can Jefferson Hour listeners get the book by going to Amazon?
Absolutely. It's on Amazon.com as America the Grateful, Where Thanksgiving Really Began. And it's in a softcover for $12, and it's also in Kindle form so that you can get it right on your computer or your tablet.
Well, congratulations on this book, and thank you so much for taking a few minutes to talk with us today.
Oh, thank you. We are just thrilled with your support, and Clay, thank you so much.
And send hams and oysters. That's all I'm asking,
I will.
For our listeners, if you go to jeffersonhour.com, you'll find a link if you're interested in getting the book. And I'm sure both of you would join me in wishing everybody happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you so much. Thanks to both of you.
It was a delight to meet you.
We've been talking with Lisa Suhay, the author of the children's book, But for Everyone, America the Grateful, Where Thanksgiving Really Began, making the case that Virginia had its own perpetual Thanksgiving proclamation well before Massachusetts, but that's not the theme of the book. The theme of the book is there's room for abundance and gratitude everywhere, and Virginia was in it from the beginning, and Virginia is the kind of state that it is today because of the amazing welcoming that this country has been to peoples from all over the world. Lisa Suhay, thank you so much. God bless you. I hope you have a great, great Thanksgiving and holidays, and I ask everyone in the Jefferson Hour world to go to our website. There will be some illustrations from the book, and then to Amazon if you wish to purchase it. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. It was wonderful. Happy holidays to you guys. Bye-bye.
We've been speaking with the author Lisa Suhay about her new book, America the Grateful,
Where Thanksgiving Really Began in Virginia in 1619, and the book is available on Amazon.com, David.
And you can find a link at jeffersonhour.com as well. We need to take a short break. We'll continue these conversations in just a moment. You're listening to the Thomas Jefferson Hour. Welcome back to the Thomas Jefferson Hour, this special edition, our Thanksgiving festival. David,
We both love Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And I think this week we've had a chance to talk to a few of our favorite people about how they celebrate this most American of holidays. David, we had the chance to contact our dear friend Pat Brodowski at Monticello. And we talk with her from time to time. Everyone who listens to the Jefferson Hour knows and loves Pat. And the thing about it is when we called her for this conversation, she was actually in the garden. I love that.
She had a chance to kind of rub in the difference in climate as Mr. Jefferson.
You got a little edgy.
Well, I don't know about that. I love Pat. She's terrific.
Course,
I've never even met her, and I have she's just like this icon.
We got to get her out here.
Yeah. So let's go to that conversation now.
Indeed.
Hello.
Hi, Pat. This is David from the Thomas Jefferson Hour.
Hi. How are you today?
Good. And I hope we didn't keep you waiting.
No, not at all. We're out here in the garden looking around.
You're in the garden.
Yeah.
What do you see today? Let's see. Let's make sure this is November 8th, 2018, just before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Here in North Dakota, snow flurries. My sidewalk was covered with about 1/4 of an inch of snow this morning. The wind yesterday was whipping to about 30 miles per hour, gray in every direction. There's not a thing growing outdoors, at least in the state of North Dakota. But this morning you sent me a picture of what's either the world's largest eggplant or the world's smallest foot. How big is that eggplant?
That eggplant is probably about 12 inches long.
Wow.
We have some really monster ones. Probably would never fit in anyone's pot. And I sent you a picture of strawberries we're picking. Alpine strawberries, the white ones are really super sweet.
So you have growth at Monticello.
Right, and I was just going to show you a picture of garlic that's come up. It's about 2 inches tall. We planted it, I guess, last week. And we haven't picked the final corn yet. We have Cox Prolific corn. We're just taking a look. And, I guess by Thanksgiving we'll be able to take that down.
So, Pat, what is Thanksgiving at Thomas Jefferson's Monticello?
I don't think they had Thanksgiving in his day because I think that was something Lincoln came up with. But generally, right now we have the best fall color. In early November is when the trees come out the best. And so we have lots of, really vivid colors in the trees, maple trees, and the tulip poplars are bright yellow. And then we have a lot of tours. People come in from all over the country to visit their relatives, and then they come to take a tour at Monticello, and we start our wreath making workshop the day after Thanksgiving. And there's all these, it's really wonderful. Like a lot of family groups come and make holiday wreaths to take back to wherever they came from,
Who instructs in wreath making?
Oh, I do. Peggy does. A bunch of us on the staff. We've been doing it now for 30 years.
You've got the greatest job in the world, don't you?
It's really wonderful when the visitors come and they're really inspired and they love what they see and they ask you really great questions and you can get involved in describing the gardening year or what you're growing and why it's important. It's really great.
Recently we had a listener send us a letter who talked about visiting Monticello and was so pleased that they had met the head gardener and they brought up the Thomas Jefferson Hour, and it sounds like you treated them very well.
Oh, I do. Absolutely. I ask people, have you listened to the Thomas Jefferson Hour? And I suggest that they do after they leave, and they just get you can keep the experience running longer if you listen to the radio show and keep thoughts about Jefferson in your head.
Well, bless you for that. Thank you.
But Pat, how many people per month wind up saying that they know you through us?
Oh, it's not by month. It's probably by day.
But, Jefferson was kind of a holiday sourpuss, as you know.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, see, well, he was asked once to declare a national day of Thanksgiving while president, and he refused because he said the president doesn't do that sort of thing. That's to intrude upon people's private religious sensibilities and the usual sort of Jefferson deism and separation of church and state. But, David, I don't know if you know, I think you do know this. I went to the Harvest Festival.
Right.
And I was doing the seed exchange with Pat. And so she sent me Jefferson seeds, and I sent her Mandana, Ricra, and Hidatsa seeds. You played a role in that. And so I was so proud of my produce that I actually wrapped it up in burlap and took it in my suitcase.
Are you sure you want to tell this story
again? And I go to
again?
Monticello, and I've got, I'm the proudest man in the world because, look, I have produced this with my own hands. And Pat looked at it, and her expression was pricelessly mean and contemptuous. But What I discovered was
I
that
doubt
my
that.
corn and squashes and sunflowers looked like bonsai plants compared to hers. Hers were gigantic and filled with health and abundance and full of their water content.
This is why when people talk about us and use the word professional gardener, we always go.
We shrink. I was
no.
never so humiliated in my life to put my corn next to Pat's corn.
But I will bet that you enjoyed producing your produce every bit as much as anyone, including Pat.
I think so, and I was so proud of it until I saw what actual produce could be. But Pat was very kind, and she said, well, you try again next year.
You're just living proof of that. It's just never,
you
never get too old to learn.
Yeah,
right?
Come to think of it, my eggplant is bigger than the squash that you produce.
Hey, now, you were emerging as a sympathetic figure until that, Pat. Now my crowd will turn on you.
No, I'm still with you, Pat. Don't worry about
it. So you don't have a Thanksgiving festival in November at Monticello?
No, they do have different things in the gift shop where they have like artisans displaying crafts, and they have tastings of different jams and chocolate and that kind of thing. But that's sort of a retail end. Here in the garden, mostly we are harvesting things for the wreath workshop, so people can go home with the abundance and put it on their door or in their house. And then I was making a list of the things we actually have out here in the garden. We have, the radicchio, endive, sea kale, turnip greens, parsnips, the strawberries, cabbage, and collards. We still have some peppers. We have lots of cover crops coming up, the clover and the rye. We just dug up the sweet potatoes. I just made a potato pave for the potluck today out of the potatoes that we had last year. And then garlic. We planted lots of garlic. We have a lot of herbs still out here. We just took down the last tomato trellis because we just thought it looked miserable, but we had Brad's atomic grapes are still on it.
Pat, is there a dormancy period in the gardens in the winter?
Kind of in January. We have snow and some cold. So we look at it, we wait for it to go away, and then we proceed on life. When I look at Bismarck's temperature and it's 18 degrees, I'm thinking, I don't remember 18 degrees.
All right, that's probably about enough of that, Pat. But I was really proud of myself. I was harvesting small amounts of spinach and lettuce until I think about the third week in October. I thought that was pretty good.
Oh.
It's funny how some of those plants up here, you try to grow spinach in the middle of the season, you can't do it. It's too hot. But cold weather, they seem to survive and thrive. I don't understand that.
Yeah, it depends on the center of origin where it came from. So you kind of have to imitate the place where it originated. And like spinach is like to be frozen before it'll germinate. So, if you want to trick it in the summer, you'd want to freeze it and then put it in some kind of cold place, maybe underneath a plant that's shady, so it stays cooler.
But you usually freeze the seeds?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to try that. That's great.
What a pleasure to talk with you. Just tell us a little bit about what's happening at Monticello this week around this. This will be broadcast just before or just after Thanksgiving around the country.
Well, we continue to have the tours of the house and some of the tours outside. It's going to transition into the winter look in the house with some decorations of kind of a minimal nature for the holidays. They change over, I think, to the red covering on his bed. It's a little more festive than the blue one. In the garden, we just do a lot of composting, edging, kind of cleaning up. Then mostly we concentrate on harvesting greens and berries and pods and things of all kinds to make these wreaths, table arrangements, and so forth. And we just had a potluck to thank all of our garden guides and garden ambassadors. And that's really a nice thing. Everybody brings a dish, and it's kind of a thank you for the great year that just passed. It's kind of a slower period of time, which is kind of nice for us.
You probably need that to regroup because it gets pretty hectic starting around March.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
What are your winter projects for yourself, not involving Monticello? What are you planning to do this winter, my friend?
I want to do some more weaving. I've just revamped my weaving studio.
You have, 4 looms or 3?
Yeah, I've got 3 big ones and 4 big ones and 3 small ones.
So you're going to do some weaving. What else?
Some more painting. I paint landscapes. So I want to do more painting, and I was thinking I should just do a painting a day and just like 2x2 inch painting and just do it. And because it's really hard to get out there to make a big painting. And then also I have a wood stove. I just need the chimney. I'm getting the chimney put in so I can sit by the flames and look at the few snowflakes that come. And I've got this compost heap, and I had intended to make a hoop house to heat it with the compost heap. So maybe I'll actually get that built. I've been growing indigo, and I wanted to harbor the indigo all winter. But we had a strange thing. We had this frost in October. It came through it and killed a lot of things. And I was like, what is this? It was like ice. So
So you're fearless. You're dyeing with indigo. You're weaving. You sew. You build shelters for yourself and so on. Your compost heap. There's nothing. Every time I see you, you surprise me with yet more talents that come seemingly out of nowhere, and yet you find time to manage the most important garden at the most important celebrity home in the United States. What a life you have.
Yeah, it's very lucky life, very good life.
Well, maybe we should leave our listeners with that image of you and wish you a happy Thanksgiving one more time.
The more you give, the more you have. That's really the phrase of our record.
And what are your personal Thanksgiving plans? I'm sure there's succotash in there somewhere.
Succotash. Probably making cinnamon buns and some kind of dish, and going to a friend's house, and we usually have a big meal we share together, and probably see my daughter. And
hey, Emily.
It'll be lovely. Yeah.
Well, enjoy it. We wish you a time of great joy and happiness at Thanksgiving and the holidays. Our dear friend Pat Brodowski, the head gardener at Thomas Jefferson's Monticello.
Always great to talk to you, Pat. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Bye for now. David, always great to talk with Pat Brodowski, the head gardener at Thomas Jefferson's Monticello. And speaking of thanks and gratitude, I think you know that a friend of mine, a new friend in Grand Forks, North Dakota, has offered to make me a ukulele.
It was great to talk to him. I had no idea. He's somebody.
This extraordinary artist in our midst here on the Northern Plains.
You said somebody sent me a ukulele, and I'm thinking, one of those. And then I heard he's making it, and I thought, one of those kits from Stuart
with redwood
Mac,
and mahogany and composites.
Let's go.
We had a chance to speak with him not only about this ukulele, but about Thanksgiving. Let's talk with Kevin in Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Hello, Kevin Muiderman.
Hello, Kevin. This is David Swenson from the Thomas Jefferson Hour.
David, how are you?
I'm great. Do you have a few minutes to talk?
I do have a few minutes.
Well, Clay has made up this story about somebody making a ukulele for him, and I'm just calling to find out if how much of that he's made up and how much is true.
That's right. You're trying to verify the story, right?
Right. Yeah, we got to do that. Good journalism and all that.
But of course, yeah. It was a great project. It was lots of fun. And it's pretty much done.
So you actually, Kevin, you made him a ukulele.
I did.
I hope you hear the envy in that question, my friend Kevin.
No. I think that's great.
Well, you can have one too if you want to.
How do you know Clay?
The Thomas Jefferson Hour.
But David, you live up near Grand Forks, do you not?
Exactly, yeah.
Grand Forks is a city in northeastern North Dakota. People who are Jefferson Hour listeners will know that it's frequently either the coldest place on earth or the second coldest place after
and windiest.
Thief River Falls.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so you have a day job, too.
I do, yep. But I've been making guitars and other stringed instruments for 20-something years.
Wow.
I went to guitar making school years ago because it's something I've always wanted to do. I've played guitar since I was a little kid, and I've also built things since I was a little kid. My uncles and my father had shops, and so I was always making things. And I decided long ago that I wanted to know how to do this. I wanted to know how to make these things. And so I went to guitar making school, and I've been building them ever since. And it's always been joyful. Never had a moment without joy making them.
Wow, that's great. That's and very Jeffersonian. Do you have like a website, or do you sell guitars to folks, or what?
Sure, I sell them all around the world. But MuidermanGuitars.com.
Now let me give the backstory on this, David. I was talking on the show about my father who had a ukulele, and he told me when I was about 9 or 10 that if I learned the ukulele and could even do one song, that women would flock to me from all over the planet.
As if you're looking for that to happen.
Yeah, and so I learned Sunny Side of the Street.
Uh-huh.
And so then you and I were talking about it, and suddenly Kevin contacted me and said, "Hey, really? You want a ukulele? And tell us how you built it. What are the materials and so on?"
Sure. We did some talking and some messaging about the woods and so forth. So we wanted kind of a rich look, and so I used some so-called sinker redwood for the top. So redwood that's been recovered from old logs that were sunk for
no trees were cut down for this ukulele.
That's right. Exactly. And so sinker redwood for the top, because the top usually is something very soft and so forth. And then for the back and sides, I used a wood that I like to work with called Ziricote. It's a sustainable South American wood, but it is beautiful and dark and rich, and it's a wonderful grain pattern that looks almost like sort of a horizon if you look at it. It's really pretty cool. So, and then I used some mahogany for the neck because mahogany is very stable, so traditionally is used for necks because you don't want them to twist or bend or whatever. And then I used, one thing that I do and have been doing since I started making instruments was I used some composite materials for the bracing on the inside. In other words, I found years ago that I could get a maybe more controlled tone, maybe more volume, maybe more what I'm looking for by, instead of using traditional bracing with just carved wood, I add some graphite in there, and then you can get sometimes more sustain, you can get more volume. And so it's all on the inside.
Let me ask you a question, Kevin. Do you play the guitar and ukulele?
I do. I even have a record and everything.
Oh, you got it. What's the record called?
It's called Earthward Bound.
And is that something on your website?
Yep, on the website, and you can get it on Spotify and iTunes and Amazon and YouTube.
Well, we'll be sure to put a link up.
Can we put a few bars into the show?
Sure.
So now I'm no longer 14 or 11. What's the song I should learn?
Well, it's kind of funny. I was going to actually ask you because we talked about maybe I could show you some things.
But let me say this. I lead an annual tour on the Lewis and Clark Trail.
Uh-huh.
And we get out there, and it's a beautiful night.
Yeah.
The moon is over the Missouri River, the White Cliffs. It's Carl Bodmer's painting of the Stone Gates. I want to be able next summer to play a couple of tunes on my new ukulele out there.
Good.
And say, folks, here, and then I want to do that strumming thing where I do a little strumming underneath a monologue of some sort or a recitation. So that's my goal, is to be able to be not embarrassing on the Lewis and Clark Trail next summer.
That is a lovely goal, and I will do whatever I can to help you.
I'm going to need some help, Kevin. Thanks for taking time.
Yeah.
And tell us quickly, what are you doing for Thanksgiving?
I'm actually going to be in Paris.
Wow.
I'm delivering. There's a shop in Paris that has commissioned a guitar for me, and I'm going to bring it rather than ship it, just because these people are friends of mine, and so why not?
Yeah, I guess.
I tried to have Thanksgiving in Oxford, in England once, and it was a turkey disaster, I can tell you that. But you'll have other great joys in Paris on Thanksgiving in 2018. We so appreciate you. I can't wait to see the instrument. I'll be driving up to take delivery of it. Then when you're in Bismarck, we need you to come and do a little show concert. We'll do a little, like a whole hour with Jefferson talking about music, you playing a little music. David will play a little music. He's an accomplished drummer and guitarist.
Not really.
Yeah. So thank you, Kevin, and God bless you.
Yeah, you're welcome. That'd be lots of fun. That'd be great.
Good to talk with you.
Take care.
Good talking to you. Thank you.
David, that was fantastic. Once I get this ukulele.
Yeah, I want to meet this guy.
We will. I think you should come with me when I go up to get it. But once I get it, I'm going to pluck a tune here on the Thomas Jefferson Hour, and you can critique it.
I will hold you to that. Right now, sir, we need to take a short break. When we come back, we have another conversation about Thanksgiving. You're listening to the Thomas Jefferson Hour.
Hello, everyone. It's Clay Jenkinson, just sneaking in a little announcement between segments of the Jefferson Hour. I want you to join me this winter at Locksaw Lodge, west of Missoula, for 2 humanities cultural retreats. The first one, Water in the West, January 13th through 18th, and the second, Shakespeare Without Tears, January 19th through 24th. For more information, go to our website, jeffersonhour.com/tours. We'll see you in the mountains.
Welcome back to the Thomas Jefferson Hour. Jesus, it's been fun talking to all these folks this week, huh?
It's great. We have friends all over this great country. I'm so thankful.
We enjoyed this so much. I said, you know what? Just out of the blue, let's call Crisler. So I got my phone out and called him, not expecting to get an answer, but we did.
He was sitting at his Steinway.
Yeah, working on Christmas songs.
He said it was like being in a Hallmark film. So let's go to the conversation with Mr. Brad Crisler of Nashville, Tennessee.
Now and forever, a friend of the Jefferson Hour.
Hello?
Hey, Brad Crisler. This is David and Clay from the Thomas Jefferson Hour.
Oh, no. Did I forget to pay somebody?
No.
Yeah, your check. Where's the check?
We're doing a Thanksgiving show, and
You're in it.
I said, hey, why don't we just try and call Brad?
Well, are we interrupting you at a difficult time?
Not at all. I was just sitting here composing on my 1950 Steinway Grand.
What are you composing?
Christmas music, of course.
Can you give us a few bars?
There you go. Christmas time. Yeah, there you go.
You're composing a Christmas tune.
Yeah, I actually have a Christmas song out right now. Probably one of the biggest. It is the biggest Christmas song I've ever had out. It's on a kind of a pop country artist. So to counteract that in a Jeffersonian way, I thought I would actually write a real Christmas song, in the tradition of Rodgers and Hammerstein or something. So
When will you finish?
what time is it?
You're a little late. Don't you usually write Christmas songs in July?
Yeah, well, the one I have out now, we wrote November of last year. So I usually
What's it
write
called, and how can we hear it?
The new Christmas song is called "It's Not Christmas Till You Come Around," and the artist is Brown and Gray. It's a pop country duo, a guy from London and a girl from Texas by way of LA. So we just wrote it. We actually wrote it too late for Christmas last year, and it got a little traction last year, but I think this year it's in the Hallmark movie.
Wow.
There's probably some listeners to the Thomas Jefferson Hour who are going, who is this guy and why are they talking to
Which one of us?
Clay has described you as, well, I think he called you the Snidely Whiplash of the Thomas Jefferson Hour.
Wow.
Yeah, really nice. Huh?
It's very honorable.
Yeah, but Brad, you've been on the list of special friends of the Jefferson Hour for years. We've talked to you a number of times. You were one of the first people to come and actually visit us in North Dakota.
Yeah, I still have the scars to prove it.
I bet you do. And for those who don't know who Brad is, you're really
Singer,
a world
songwriter,
famous
painter,
composer,
collector of miniatures.
Right? Yeah, and now you've branched into painting. And
I
have you sent me that wonderful portrait of Adams, and I have that proudly on my wall
One
here
Adam's
in my
light
office.
to another, as far as I'm concerned.
And it made Clay just so
I'm still mad.
jealous about that.
Yeah.
That you had sent that to me, but it meant a lot to me.
A lot of spitballs on that painting now.
Wonderful painting. Yeah.
I'm gonna paint Clay a portrait of Joseph Ellis. So
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd love that, actually.
Yeah.
He's my hero.
We know you're working, and it was rude for us to call without warning.
But I have a question. What is your Thanksgiving going to be?
Yeah. What's it like in Nashville?
This year we'll be in Alabama. That's where my parents still live. That's where I'm from.
This feels like a Hallmark film already.
Oh, it'll be in the country.
The famous Nashville songwriter goes home to his roots.
Yeah, I'll do some hunting, some metal detecting, and great homemade food. It really is about as Hallmark Channel as you can get. It'll be good to be with my folks. We'll have our daughter home from college.
Where's she going to college?
Over there. She's at Harding University studying ministry in Searcy, Arkansas, which is where her mom went. And she's having a blast. You could just tell the world is exploding for her. She's discovering how big and wonderful life in the world is.
Fantastic. Well, so you're going to do some metal detecting. What are you looking for, like unspent Confederate mini balls down there?
No. I have several generations of Crisler family there in Town Creek, Alabama, so I could find some relics from my people.
A detectorist. I like it.
Yeah.
So what will the meal consist of there?
Very traditional Southern Thanksgiving, which is lots of probably versions of turkey, from baked turkey, roasted turkey, fried turkey, lots of mashed potatoes, gravy, green beans with ham hock, canned sweet potatoes. You name it. Everything that make you go to sleep in the afternoon.
Do you, Brad Crisler, do any of the dishes? Do you cook or bake?
I have in the past. I don't anymore because it would be usurping authority over some really brilliant cooks, starting with my mom and my wife, and now my youngest daughter, who loved to cook. So I can cook subsistence wise. But
how many people will be around that table?
Probably be 10 or 12, including my grandmother, who's 98.
My goodness.
Wow.
Yeah, and then just clear-headed, and she will love to watch the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving. So she's been doing it a long time.
For what it's worth, a happy Thanksgiving to you and all of yours. And
yeah, you guys too. I'm still as thankful for the Jefferson Hour. And probably more so now than ever. I never miss a program.
Oh, wow.
It's as good as it's ever been.
I think it's better, but
yeah, it's as important as it's ever been.
I just want to say, Brad, I mean no disrespect, but when your whole genius and career was in the tank, you came here and we inspired you, and since then it's like one hit after the next.
Right up until then, I didn't think I was going to have to edit this conversation, but
when you were here, the daughter who's now in college was just knee high to
it's amazing. Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
So what, in all seriousness, we really do appreciate you so much and the participation you've had in this show, and the guidance and thought that you have provided. So let's close with an opportunity for you to address the listeners of the Thomas Jefferson Hour. What Thanksgiving message would you share?
I would just say, tell your friends about the Jefferson Hour. It's as important now as it ever has been. Not only Thomas Jefferson as a voice in our national discourse, but also your voices and the voices that you bring to the show. And I just couldn't be more thankful for the influence you all have had in my life. You're both mentors to me intellectually, as well as Thomas Jefferson. And I would just encourage everyone to really reinvigorate their quest for civility this year. And I think it starts with the Jefferson Hour. So I hate to be that voice that David makes, and I can't get that low and register, but I would say if you love the Jefferson Hour, if it has a similar effect on your life, please support it and ask your friends to do the same. And I'm just as grateful, just so grateful for everything this year. I have a wonderful, beautiful, intellectual life and family, and I consider you guys part of it. So happy Thanksgiving.
Brad Crisler,
just humbled.
Given the abuse heaped over you over the years by David Swenson, I'm just shocked that you would even. That's like the most beautiful thing ever said.
That is officially the pot calling the kettle black right there.
Well, bless you, sir, and forgive us for interrupting your writing session. And I hope we get a chance to talk to you again soon.
All right, take care, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
God bless you.
Mm-hmm.
Brad was pretty kind to us. I think we're both blushing.
He knocked our socks off. I mean, I knew that he was a friend of this program. I didn't know what surprised me, all that wonderful praise, but he said he listens every week.
Yeah.
Wow, I thought, come on.
We really appreciate all your kind words, Brad. And again, a happy Thanksgiving to all. But now, sir, it is time for this week's Jefferson Watch.
To everyone who listens to the Thomas Jefferson Hour, I say happy Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday by light years. As a deist, I do not find Easter very comforting. I haven't seen midnight on New Year's for a number of years, and I have never understood, from a Jeffersonian point of view, why anyone would want to start the new year hungover. So much for resolutions of a more disciplined, more healthy, fitter, and more productive life. Whatever Christmas once was, nobody looking at Christmas in America now could say Jesus is the reason for the season. I'm with Sheldon Cooper on Big Bang Theory. We buy gifts we haven't really thought through for other people because that is what is expected of us. The fact that the clerks automatically say to us, gift receipt in the bag, tells you all you need to know. When I see poor women in Kmart in the weeks before Christmas putting a girl's parka on layaway or checking prices on action figures to determine if they can afford to put one in their carts. It just breaks my heart. My daughter and I took paper ornaments off a charity Christmas tree several years ago, thinking of how much fun it would be to buy toys for children of needy families. We took 10 requests. They included new shoes, a hoodie, a coat, mittens, and a parka for my mom. I choke up just writing that sentence. I don't even particularly like the 4th of July. You wait around an awful long time for the fireworks. And I've heard enough John Philip Sousa for a lifetime, thank you very much. Beer, brats, jet skis, pre-adolescent boys throwing firecrackers into garbage cans. The whole thing seems to me a little light on life, liberty, and the rational pursuit of rational happiness. Bah humbug. And while I'm on that rant, can there be a more overrated Dickens book than A Christmas Carol? Don't get me wrong. I love the novels of Dickens to the point of practical bankruptcy. In a list of the top 10 books in my life's reading, Great Expectations and David Copperfield never lose their place, and that makes me feel I have done insufficient honor to the Pickwick Papers and Oliver Twist. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, if you have the Hallmark Channel, you can see Ebenezer Scrooge cast as an overworked New York fashion designer, a Muppet, George C. Scott, Patrick Stewart, Buddy Hackett, Kelsey Grammer, a radio show host, a personal Christmas shopper who does not have time for Christmas, etc., etc., ad nauseum. There may be more bad adaptations of A Christmas Carol than any other book ever written, and it is a lousy, sanctimonious, mawkish book anyway, unworthy of the greatest novelist in the English language. Okay, I feel better now. But Thanksgiving, oh, universe, thank God for Thanksgiving. No gifts. A giant succulent turkey. To use a Dickensian phrase, a table sagging under the abundance of specially prepared food. Who does not feel ecstasy over the second spoonful of cranberries? And by the way, if you eat cranberries out of a can with the groove markings still on the circumference, you don't deserve Thanksgiving, in my view. I eat mashed potatoes 2 times per year, Thanksgiving and Christmas. I make my grandmother Rhoda's celebrated green beans. No French's crispy potatoes on top, no cream of mushroom soup. Just square-cut green beans with a few actual, not faux, bacon bits, some minuscule diced onions, and 3 tablespoons of white vinegar. Try it. Rhoda Strauss of Fergus Falls, Minnesota. 2 pies. A traditional pumpkin pie that we wind up throwing half away, and my mother's celebrated chiffon pumpkin pie, the pie to die for. My mother made it every year for 50 years. In the last couple of years, it was not up at top form any longer. She was in her denouement, but we never let on that its magnificence had lost a step or two. And then my cream corn, by which I mean a cream and butter delivery system in which the corn kernels are merely the delivery truck, the corn shucked on my deck until my fingers were bloody, 140-quart bags of it this year. We eat far too much. Then we sit in front of the television with its 500 stations, and after 2 minutes of the Detroit Lions, we wind up watching, you guessed it, Bill O'Reilly as Ebenezer Scrooge or Charlize Theron as the overworked TV anchor who does not have time for anything so silly as Christmas until her nephew in Alabama is diagnosed with cancer, and she winds up reconciling with her father, from whom she was estranged when he married a much younger woman who had once been on welfare. At the dining room table, covered with a tablecloth for one of the 2 dinners per year, we pour white wine and go around saying what we are particularly thankful for this year. Mostly, my daughter and I will be expressing our thanks this time for having had so many great years with my mother, Mill Strauss Jenkinson, who died in July, the light of my daughter's life, and one of my closest friends. I'll make the pumpkin chiffon pie this year, and we're going to get out an ancient Jell-O mold to make an essentially disgusting celery, carrot, cranberry, walnut, and green Jell-O salad. And by the way, in what sense can that be called a salad? Something my mother made every year, even though even she did not like it. So as we move to that greatest of American holidays, I want to give a few thanks here on the Thomas Jefferson Hour. First, to David Swenson, the semi-permanent guest host of the Jefferson Hour, who not only serves as the very able host of the program, but edits it, posts it to the NPR networks, and gets it up and running as a podcast. Without David, there would be no Jefferson program, and his son Graham is our extraordinary webmaster. Thanks to Crisler for being the snidely whiplash of the Jefferson Hour. Thanks to the snotty barn detractors, whoever you are, and to Russ Eagle. Eagle is his last name, but I carried him like a dead pigeon up Mount Whitney. Thanks to all of our correspondents, Pat Brodowski at Monticello, Bo Wright of Lynchburg, that living exemplar of the Enlightenment, David Nicandri, and the incomparable Joe Ellis of Massachusetts. Thanks to Prairie Public Radio in North Dakota, our home and host, and to the host NPR stations around the country for airing the program and defending it against those who consider it too apologetic for Jefferson, too liberal, too conservative, too cautious, or too revisionist. But most of all, thanks to you who listen to the program every week and let it be, I hope, a source of reason, civility, good humor, and old-fashioned humor in your lives. I meet some of you in my travels. You know who you are. It always makes me glad to be alive knowing that you're out there listening, talking about the ideas I bring to the program, and taking solace in civilized and grammatically solid discourse that is not sound bites or talking points, but an honest attempt to make sense of our confused world through the lens of one of the most extraordinary men who ever lived. Thank you. Keep listening. Tell everyone you know about the Thomas Jefferson Hour. Send us your suggestions, questions, criticisms, and thoughts. And, I'm sorry, I just have to say it, God bless us, everyone. I'm Clay Jenkinson. We'll see you next week for another exciting edition of the Thomas Jefferson Hour.
The amber light of dawn that warms my skin shines autumn's golden blaze against the sky. By night the sunset burns with crimson flame. I celebrate, I feel, therefore I am. It's you and it's me, it's just family. It's just humanity.
The Thomas Jefferson Hour is brought to you each week by Dakota Sky Education. The program is distributed nationally by Prairie Public Radio. President Thomas Jefferson lived from 1743 to 1826, and this program presents his views. President Jefferson is portrayed by the award-winning humanities scholar and author, Clay S. Jenkinson.
It's you and it's me, it's just family. It's just humanity. It's just humanity.
This program is also available online at jeffersonhour.org and on iTunes. If you'd like to correspond with President Jefferson or submit a question for him to answer on the program, please visit the website at jeffersonhour.org. The Thomas Jefferson Hour is produced at Makoche Recording Studios in Bismarck, North Dakota. Thank you for listening. Please tune in again next week for another thought-provoking, historically accurate program through the eyes of Thomas Jefferson.